Well, I don't know. Carrie Fisher Brawless in the first Star Wars was, I didn't mind that.
I was looking more at Marion on the submarine.
Oh, yes, the crunchy bush.
I noticed that more than I noticed, like of course, there's Slave Leia, of course, but...
Slave Leia. No, Carrie Fisher in her white
but dude,
Leia
like
outfit,
turning
bra.
Well, yeah, because George told her there was no underwear in space, and he's right, by the way.
VPL. You know what VPL stands for? Xray girl. Tell him.
No, I don't know. I'm still on that whole thing. What you said about crunchy bush.
A visible panty line. VPL. Come on.
Chris is into simping right now, and he's completely missing my point, but it's okay.
No, I hear your point. Look,
Chris is stuck on like see-through clothing and side boob right now, and I'm with you, brother. We got Amazon touts the Rings of Power Season 2 ratings as strong, yet below the first season. So according to Amazon, credit to the Hollywood Reporter for saying, the company says 40 million viewers worldwide have watched at least some of the first 3 new Rings of Power episodes through the sophomore season's first 11 days. The company did not make clear, however, how much of the season or an episode those 40 million people Amazon's figure is different from the increasingly adopted standard of streaming views, which divides total viewing time by running time. Amazon also noted the Rings of Power is a top 5 all-time season for Rings Prime Video compared to the first 11 days of the show, and has been #1 for the service since its return, according to Amazon. So I do want to point out that last year, I don't recall the amount of time. Let's just say it's the same amount of time, but I don't recall it saying 11 days. That they said 125 million people watched the premiere. Not some, the premiere of the Rings of Power. I would say 40 million is a little less than 125 million. Again, not good at math. You want to fact check me on that, Xray girl? Is 40 million less than 125 million?
Yes.
Yeah, make sure to fact check Gary.
Let me just put it on my calculator. Might need that.
I have a question.
Sure.
Historical context. Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones as a show, did it build an audience? Did the audience grow over seasons? Did certain episodes like season finales get a peak? Like, can we look up Game of Thrones year by year ratings as seasons continued? In my recollection is it was something people like knew about, but it became a phenomenon as it went. Am I wrong in that?
The ratings went up. Okay, so let's put it this way. I think the ratings were around 3 million, 2, 3, maybe 4 million in the beginning. 18 million people were watching it by season 8. 18 million. So that's up. Yes. Same with X-Files. I was looking at the ratings for that. You know, they went up a lot. A lot. Remember, season 1 was like the 63rd most watched television show that year in 1993. But yes, the ratings go up for a show historically that's popular. They progressively move up. They don't go down 60%, 60+%.
Yeah, so Game of Thrones it really hit its stride with people who were not necessarily fans of genre, just like great television.
I did find a graph, though, if you do want to see. It's the first 6 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that progressively moves up. Oh, we don't
by season 4, it was cooking.
Wow.
I mean, it built. But Rings of Power, the trend is the opposite.
It is the opposite. Like, reality's going to have to sink in with them by the end of the season because not that many people are watching. Again, this thing is extremely expensive and it's really boring. And their big thing was to bring in Tom Bombadil, which would excite Lord of the Rings fans if it was a good product. But by the time season 2 came out, we just saw it for what it was, a big money grab. And they just made him a sage old wizard trainer instead of the merry, aloof Tom Bombadil. Sauron is a thirst trap. That's laughably cringe. That is so bad. I can't even put words to describe how bad that is and how much J.R.R. Tolkien and his son Christopher are spitting in their graves right now. And if any justification of that is, well, you tell on yourself. You tell on yourself that you're just not a fan. You just want to flick your bean to everything. And if you want to do that, there are sites abound to do that by all means. But it doesn't really work in Lord of the Rings. Saying it's a little antithetical. More bad news for Rings of Power as Amazon reveals sharp viewership decline from season 1. According to Amazon, that's pretty good. Amazon, season 2 has reached 40 million viewers in 11 days. But what this means exactly is a bit harder to say. As Variety reports, it's difficult to put the stat in full context as Amazon has not defined how it quantifies its viewership. For example, 40 million could simply be a number of people who watched any portion of the available episodes, which it does. The way they stated it, that absolutely does. So, and who knows? We know the iPlayer in BBC, if you watch something for like a less than a minute, it's considered a view. This is not surprising given the recent reports from Illuminate and Samba TV showing a massive decline in viewership in season 2. Ratings fell throughout season 1 as audiences peeled off in droves, and most of those who abandoned ship have clearly not returned. It's a shame. I was very much hoping that a big budget live action Middle-earth series would scratch that epic fantasy itch. I was too, Eric. I wanted this to be great. I would have been this show's biggest fan. Biggest fan. Instead, the series was given to untested showrunners who clearly were in a way over their heads. Whatever hopes I had that they would listen to the criticism and come back with an improved second season were quickly dashed. Amazon is now sending good money after bad in this outrageously expensive vanity project, that's all it is. For some added context, Amazon recent hit Fallout series, which was fantastic. I disagree, but okay. Hit 65 million views in 16 days. Still, Rings of Power Season 2 remains one of Amazon's biggest hits and one of the top 5 viewed on Prime Video offerings, according to Amazon, by the way. It just fails considerably short of Season 1. This was supposed to be their Game of Thrones, guys. This is supposed to be their biggest show on an upward trajectory, and it's not. And you'll see spin, you'll see lies, but as I said with The Acolyte, if you want to go through the same failure you did that Paramount did with Star Trek Discovery, by the way, Paramount for sale, having trouble selling themselves because they kept pouring money into a loser, the Star Trek franchise that they destroyed. If you want to keep heading down the same road as Disney and trying to lie your way into success. You know, there is a saying in recovery, Chris, and it works within recovery, but it doesn't really work in business. Although I hear it a lot, especially in the tech industry. Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Now, in recovery's context, it's, I feel miserable right now, but I need to stay sober. Okay. Yeah. But in a business context, you're lying to your customer until you're like, hopefully there's a time we won't have to lie to our customer. The thing is, we're in a changing world right now, no matter what happens with an election, no matter what happens. And this is going to be something that's a paradigm shift that's going to take years. But more people are searching for authenticity. They're looking for it in their politicians. They're looking for it from their news. They're looking at it from their school districts. They're looking for it from companies. And companies are going to have to figure it out or they're going to fail because authenticity will be the ruler soon.
It's the whole idea of independent versus independent creator versus corporate. Corporatism always, it just fails to capture that. Like, and you see the world of Hollywood has gone way more corporate, especially with big tech coming in. It's so corporate, all numbers. And you just roll the dice and say, I don't know, Chris Nolan wants to make a movie about the guy who invented the atom bomb. I don't know, maybe people will love it. Like, then it's a huge hit, you know, and he's a very non-corporate guy who has his office is in his garage. He just works out of his garage. you know, so he very is much anti-corporate, is very indie. Even he doesn't trust the corporate people. So on the set, I know this because I know Wally Pfister, who's his cinematographer, who did The Dark Knight. He told me a lot of things. Just seems very chill, very like does not like the corporate world. But that's the corporatism versus authenticity. That is the battle.
You know, corporatism worked because there was no real competition. Now they're competing against the audience, and they can't. They can't. YouTube is beating the shit out of them, like, regularly. So, and they're beating Netflix too. And YouTube doesn't have to put up huge budgets. As a matter of fact, YouTube could make more money if they weren't a bunch of pussies, but they are.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.